The House of Commons Ethics Committee clearly needs a new name. This committee, after all, with its Liberal majority, decided to band together to block a motion that would allow Mario Dion, Canada's Ethics Commissioner, to testify. The reason, of course, is that the Liberals didn't want Dion to take the stand because they probably didn't want to hear what he had to say about that 63-page report he tabled last week that found Justin Trudeau violated Canada's federal ethics law when he and his office put pressure on Jody Wilson-Raybould, at the time the Attorney General in Canada, to interfere in the supposedly independent prosecution of SNC-Lavalin. Now, this report was damning. It had a number of allegations. We know that the government was trying to block several witnesses from being able to testify, which is why Justin Trudeau and the Privy Council office didn't expand cabinet confidence waivers, and the Ethics Commissioner said he was up against a wall in this respect of his investigation. But instead of being able to answer questions, talk about what he found, talk about the process, Dion has not been invited. He was willing, he was able, he was eager to make that date with the Ethics Committee, but no, the Liberals on the committee, with one exception, Nathaniel Erskine-Smith, decided they were not going to allow it to happen. Now, if this all sounds familiar, I'm not recycling an old video here. The Liberals have done this with the Justice Committee when Jody Wilson-Raybould herself wanted to make a second visit to the committee to testify. The MPs, again, Liberals, said, we've heard enough. We don't need to have her back. And now with Dion, they're not even giving him a single opportunity to speak. Now, to be fair, he has had the opportunity to put forward his results. He's tabled the report. They can't block that. But you'd think that a report finding the Prime Minister of Canada has violated federal law might be worthy of a few questions. This is not a radical concept. In fact, it's entirely routine for an officer of Parliament, as Dion is, to speak to parliamentarians after tabling a report, especially one as significant as this. But again, ethics have no place on the Ethics Committee. The government is more interested in protecting Justin Trudeau's political ambitions than actually investigating the law-breaking that has now been found by Trudeau. Canadians deserve better than this. The process has been abused to protect the Prime Minister, which means political interests have trumped the rule of law. And that was the whole point of the SNC interference, is that, again, the rule of law, the prosecution of SNC-Lavalin, was less significant than the Liberal ambitions, which were also SNC-Lavalin's ambitions, of protecting jobs, allegedly, a political purpose. Let's be real. But this is why it's so important that Dion had the opportunity to testify. There are still, even after that report was tabled, unanswered questions. Like, what was he trying to figure out when he saw that he was unable to interview and get documents and evidence from those 9 witnesses? What is it that Trudeau said as far as the justification for why he wouldn't allow those 9 witnesses to testify? What is it that Jody Wilson-Raybould had to say that, again, might have been protected by cabinet confidence had that been waived? If this was an exhaustive investigation that picked up every rock, looked in every nook and cranny, then sure, maybe we could say that he has said his piece and we have all the facts. But we don't. And the report itself acknowledges this. It says quite clearly that there was more information that Dion would have liked to have brought to light, but he just couldn't. And again, that should, to any respectful politician, be an indication that, hey, we have more questions that we need to ask. But what the Liberals on the committee have done, in some respects, may backfire, because they've now said they have no questions about the report. They have nothing to challenge, nothing to question, no holes that they can poke in it, which means that by the Liberals saying they don't want to talk to Dion, there is, in some respects, a tacit endorsement or approval of the report. After all, if they disputed it, if they wanted to take issue with it, maybe, just maybe, they would want to have some opportunities to question the person who wrote that report. So if I were the Conservatives or anyone trying to oppose the Liberals right now, that would be the argument I'd put forward. Well, if the Liberals don't want to ask Dion any questions, clearly they take at face value what it is that he has to say about Trudeau, which is that he broke the law and behaved unethically. And the report shows that very clearly. We are still asking the questions at True North. One of the reasons that we're crowdfunding our election coverage, if you can chip in a few dollars and get a tax receipt, please do. There's a link in the description box to support True North's election coverage fund. For True North, I'm Andrew Lawton.